Hey there guys, and welcome back to another episode of RuneScape's Greatest Achievements. In today's episode, we'll be showcasing one of the most anticipated and exciting area-locked Ironman series on the platform. Restricted to the bounds of Karamja, this man took on one of the most impressive challenges this game has to offer, achieving an infernal cape on an area-restricted account, and also adding to the extra difficulty of doing all of this as an ultimate Ironman. And the individual we'll be discussing today goes by the alias Verf. Verf was at heart an Ultimate Ironman, and had been since the release of the game mode. And as of present, he is in fact one of the very few that have managed to max out one completely. Thus bringing us his series, the Karamja Locked Ultimate Ironman, inspired by a fellow YouTuber known as Caveman Only, as well as his friend Karamja Only, presented with the same area restrictions. In early May 2018, Verf would set off on his journey. The only caveat to this adventure would be the completion of Druidic ritual before inhabiting the island for years to come. This would later on provide the ability to create the necessary potions needed for his end goal, being the Infernal Cape. And this was not going to be an easy task. What awaited Verf was long grueling hours of unorthodox grinds for such a restricted build. Verf would begin his grind with the intentions of working towards a fire cape as a sub-goal. To do so, he'd get stuck right into smithing and make an abundance of bronze knives to train his range. And the further we get into the video, you'll come to realize an abundance is simply an understatement. From the get-go, Verf would use his knives to shoot for one of the goals that we can all appreciate from over the years, the Rune Scimitar grind. This would propel his melee training exponentially, and remain his best in slot until he obtains the obsidian weaponry further in the future. Also, at this early stage of gameplay, Verf had very few ways to make decent money, so all the excess drops would go right back into bronze knives. And just a few days after the creation of the account, Verf had already managed to complete his first questline, Shiloh Village, cementing his position as another linchpin within the restricted Ironman community, and along the way he would become loved by very many. The cool thing about Karamja is that you can in fact train most skills. Though many will be exceptionally slow, it still is possible, and in this series you'll get to see all the little interesting methods to do so. In the clip below, Verf is restricted to curing Brudu victims in order to train Herblore, and though it is exceptionally slow, throughout the video we'll see great optimization. From the get-go, he'll hop around worlds until he finds the suitable victim. Now, these victims have an uncommon rate of spawning in the first place, which is then divided by 3 different variations, that being green, orange, and blue. And in this case, we only want green, making for an incredibly strenuous grind. Following Herblore, we have farming, or raking in this matter, as Verf can't actually begin farming until he unlocks fruit trees, which means he'll have to rake patches which are on a global timer from 1 all the way till 27 farming. If you haven't already caught on, everything on this island takes time, and a lot of it. Here up on screen, we have what I'd call Verf's early game gear, where he can still grab a pair of dragon legs and an obby cape, though at the speed he's developing at, he'll only use these for so long. Verf's underlying goal was first to achieve a fire cape as a stepping stone towards the Inferno. So for now, he needed to obtain an abundance of Tokkul for the obsidian rings, which he'd end up using on Jad. This meant more knives and more range levels. Following the completion of 80 range, Verf would knock out 38 Herblore for his prayer potions, while his secondaries were obtained by killing a bunch of tribesmen. With all that being said, Verf now had his tank armor, obby rings, and his prayer potions, and though his gear is crude to say the least, it's more than enough for this man to take on the fight caves. So on the 11th of October 2018, Verf would set off to complete one of his long-awaited goals, the elusive Fire Cape. In the course of 4.5 months, Verf had completed one of his main goals, and much earlier than expected, which was due to the amazing amount of support he had garnered throughout his series. The issue Verf now faced following his mid-game completion was that all of his following grinds were restricted to a significant amount of lamping, which meant he'd focus more on his main and AFK train on the side for the next few months. And now Verf had completed 15 mining, he went on to finish up the Karamja Easy Diary, making the toggle grind sufficient enough to afford a full set of obsidian, obtaining his max melee just 6 months into the account. His next lamping target would be Slayer, giving access to harpy bug swarms at level 33, which means he'd get stuck right into woodcutting and fletching to pass the time. Harpy bug swarms would bring life to clue juggling, making medium clues possible yet extraordinarily difficult. During his grind, Verf actually managed to complete 99 woodcutting along the way, which is a testament to how long lamping to 33 Slayer had actually taken him. At this point, Verf was determined to follow through with his goals of achieving the Infernal Cape, and to do so he realised he was going the wrong way about it. He would still shoot for some medium clue scrolls along the way, though he knew he had to shift his gaze over to Hunter, which subsequently meant more lamping. In early 2019, Verf would do some deep theory crafting, and with the help of his community would come up with a way to tackle the nibblers, which led to the rune throwing axes. These axes were dropped by the ninja implings, and he could also on the off chance grab a few lucky implings along the way. This also meant that he first had to lamp to 27 Hunter, then shoot for 99 Hunter before he could barehand his desired implings. Verf would catch over 54,000 Grax in order to achieve his goal of 99 Hunter, after a grueling amount of time lamping all these different stats for each individual goal. Over 350 hours of grinding so that he could finally barehand lucky implings, and thanks to his amazing community he would have a cohort of players calling impling spawns around the island. Verf would catch countless implings throughout the next few months while diligently working on both the Regent Bracelet and the Amulet of Fury. And as you can see on screen below, it was all working out for him, as he was ticking off items on the wish list left, right and centre. Through blood, sweat and tears, on the 4th of September 2019, Verf would defy all odds and achieve the rune crossbow, the final piece to the puzzle. He would then quickly follow suit with the completion of a 500-hour crafting grind, with a reward of not only a Fury, but even an ornament kit to go along with it. Verf would need Toggle and lots of it, so he would go on to theorycraft a method with the help of his community to speed up his rates exponentially. If you were to kill a player in the fight pits, you would receive the amount of Toggle equivalent to the user's combat level. So with the help of rock cakes and retribution, you could achieve an enormous amount of Toggle per hour, which would then be used to buy both runes and the Regent Bracelet. This method was so good in fact that we actually optimized it ourselves and utilized it for our Saga series last year, so thank you Verf for that. At this stage, Verf had just about everything he was going to need to tackle the Inferno, a few odd grinds here and there, though his gear was entirely complete. Everything was seemingly going to plan, until one fateful day. On the 29th of December 2019, Verf would end up dying and losing everything except his untradables to an unfortunate error of simply AFKing for too long. And though he had lost thousands upon thousands of hours worth of both regular and RNG grinds, he still had the determination to carry on. I feel like this chapter in Verf's story is a testament to his determination to achieve his goals, and to prove to his community and viewers that he was going to overcome all that he had set out to. Verf would then move on to reclaiming his lost items from lucky imps while working towards both his throwing axes and diamond bolt tips. And not too long after, he was blessed yet again with the prized possession of the rune crossbow. everything was yet again falling into place. And after 750 hours of curing Brutu victims and cleaning Valencia moss, Verf would achieve his final goal required for the Inferno, being 81 Herblore. Verf had truly overcome all odds. Everyone that doubted his conviction had their eyes peeled for his next upload. His resolve was realized. He had practiced for countless hours in preparation for this very moment. And most importantly, he had what it takes to pull this all off. Verf would end up sinking over 200 hours into perfecting his obscure route in the Inferno, and he would do so by utilizing the Trailblazer League. This is a checklist of what he had to overcome before attempting on the Karamja locked account, as he didn't want to waste any of his supplies. And now, 3 years in the making, on the 29th of March 2021, Verf was finally ready to overcome the Inferno and complete his long-awaited journey. So without further ado, I will let this man's actions speak much louder than words. Verf really did stand up to the test of time and did what many could not. And that's following through with exactly what he said he was going to achieve. Though he went through some ups and downs, he was fortunate enough to have such an amazing community backing him all along the way. I believe I can say this from all of us, and that this series was truly one of the best throughout RuneScape history. And more importantly, one of RuneScape's greatest achievements. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here today, show your support by dropping us a like and a subscription. This will take you no longer than 2 seconds, and each and every one of you will make a difference. If you'd like to go and show some love to Verf, go and check out his channel, which will be linked with all his social medias in the description. And finally, if you haven't already, leave a comment down below on who you think we should cover next. These entries come directly from the comments, so make sure to do so. With all that said, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, have a lovely day.